Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. All right, y'all. Brian Kelly met with the media on Monday, put to bed the Tennessee game, and begin the look ahead to Florida this weekend in Gainesville. Interesting conversation, to say the least, about where they see the program and, quite honestly, a lot of the explanation for some of the things that have been questions fans have had. Gave an answer about Harold Perkins. Gave an answer about special teams, updated injuries. So we can get into all of that. And if you have questions or comments, you know the drill, fire away. As always, we appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, do us a favor, quick like and subscribe. Smash that like button, subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, you know the drill. Please like the Matt Moscona page and share the post. As always, we appreciate you for being there. All right, we'll get rolling here. We'll say some good mornings. Let me know what y'all got. Really good Monday Night Football game last night as well with the Chiefs and the Raiders. The roughing the passer on Chris Jones almost broke Twitter last night. If you missed it, look it up. You'll see the video. Chris Jones sacked Derek Carr, and in the process of sacking him, literally took the ball away from him as they're falling to the ground. But he fell on Derek Carr, which apparently is a no-no, even though he possessed the football at the time. So they called roughing the passer. I saw someone tweet, Chris Jones is the first person in NFL history to be called for roughing the passer while possessing the football. That's funny. Sad. Funny in a sad kind of way. All right, Kelly Gross, Nicole Rivera, David Coslin, good morning. Jason Austin, good morning. Joey Vincent, what's going on? Trivia Carter, Nicholas Cantrell, Jordan Coleman. Reed Rule, Samuel Smith. Jordan said the Harold Perkins situation is some Les Miles type of BS. You see, Jordan, here's where I think, I don't know if you heard Brian Kelly's explanation, but he was asked about it. So look, they moved Harold Perkins to the Sam linebacker, so the strong side. Said in this game, because of Tennessee running a spread, your Sam linebacker, if you were, again, running a traditional 3 linebacker set, which is what he would be as a Sam, then he would have been outside the numbers covering a receiver. So they decided to play base nickel, which was very obvious. I mean, we talked about in the postgame. I mean, they played base nickel. They only had 2 linebackers on the field. The 2 linebackers, and that's not counting B.J. Ojulari, of course, who's the jack. I mean, like traditional linebackers standing up behind the defensive line. And they had Micah Baskerville and Greg Penn. So they had 2 inside backers. So what he said was, we moved him to Sam. He's been repping exclusively as Sam. If you move him back to inside linebacker against that team, it would have just been unfair to have him change positions. And I get it. If that's what you're sticking with and you felt like your better options at inside backer were Baskerville and Penn, roll with it. Be a good question to ask, and we'll get someone on today to talk about that. How easy that might have been to be able to transition from Sam to inside this week. But it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. I don't really get who was it? It was Jordan. I don't really get the Les Miles type BS comment, Jordan. I don't really know what you mean by that. But the explanation makes sense. You'd have been asking him basically to play a different position against a really good offense. The football dummy in me says, hey man, just go line up and chase the ball. But against that team, probably not best. Reed Rule, morning Matt. Kelly would have been better off saying Perkins was suspended in-house than whatever that nonsense was. I don't know, man. I don't know how you can say that's nonsense. Do you not understand what he was saying? Because Like if you're the strong side linebacker, you're outside to whatever side they're heavy. So if you're Tennessee and you're running spread formations, you don't have like a traditional tight end H-back. You have a receiver spread to the numbers, which means Perkins wouldn't have been playing in the box. He would have been playing, he would have been covering a receiver. That's what he was saying. I don't think that's that hard to understand. Samuel Smith, everyone always hates on Brian Kelly. Excited to hear them in 4 to 5 years when he's thriving. I can't wait. Yes, Samuel, I don't think it's going to take 4 to 5 years, but I do understand your point. I agree with you. I was even doing an interview yesterday with a Florida station. And, the guy cracked another joke about the fake accent with the family. And I'm like, are we past that? Like, no one here has mentioned that maybe ever. Like, that was such a non-thing here that became such a giant thing everywhere. And people are still talking about it. Like, I'll say this again, y'all. I don't know Brian Kelly, like, to the length of, all the time he was at Notre Dame when he got hired from Cincinnati to Notre Dame, like, I was aware of him. I know who he is. Obviously, he's the coach in the same way that, like, Kirk Ferentz is the coach at Iowa, but I never had a conversation with him. I don't know anything about him, other than he's coached Iowa for a long time and things that you read and all that stuff. But the reaction nationally people have had to Brian Kelly is just what's really surprising to me. Like he's the only coach that ever. Lincoln Riley literally just did the same thing. Left the traditional power for another power. Took a big pile of money. Took the starting quarterback with him. It is odd. I don't know what Brian Kelly did or has done throughout his career to be abrasive or to cause that much, dislike from people nationally. But that's a thing, man. That is a thing. But I can only tell you my experience. My experience with him has been professionally, really good. He's been accessible and accommodating, and I think forthcoming with answers and helped us do our job. I don't see the abrasive jerk, for lack of a better phrase. I don't get it, Samuel. It's odd. Jesse Brown, morning, Matt. Concerned about Lattimore not able to play Sunday. What other options do we have to stop Chase? Yeah, Jesse, I'm with you, man. So Marshawn Lattimore has an abdominal injury. We should find out more on Wednesday when the injury report comes out. Dennis Allen, when he met with the media on Monday, didn't seem too concerned about Lattimore. Almost, if I'm remembering the quote exactly, said we hope to get him back this week. But that's almost a must. Because Paulson Adebo's playing hurt, and that's obvious because he's not been good at all. And you're going to face that three-headed monster of Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, and you're down Lattimore and have an injured Adebo. What other options do you have? Chris Harris. You just signed Chris Harris, who's 33, to your practice squad. He's 33 years old. He's played a ton of football. He theoretically should be able to just step onto a field and be ready to go, but at 33 years old, you're expecting Chris Harris to run with Jamar Chase and those guys. Need a lot of help, especially no Marcus May. Let's hope Marcus May gets back as well. Pabler 15, Tim Gotro, Larry Garner, Eric Bertrand, Brad David. How long have you known Peter Burns? He seems like a really cool guy. Yeah, I met Peter when Peter got the job at the SC Network. So that was 2014 when they launched the network. He had been working in Denver. Peter was doing radio in Denver. And I think his agent asked him if he wanted to audition for something called the SEC Network. And he's like, that sounds right up my alley. So auditioned and got the job. And so he was there when the day it launched. And I remember it, man. He and Ben McDonald were on LSU's campus because the day they launched, they had different people stationed all over the SEC at different campuses. But Peter Burns and Ben McDonald were there at LSU, right outside Mike the Tiger's cage when it launched in 2014. So that's when we met, and obviously the LSU ties have been kind of interconnected there. So I'd say really since 2016 is when Peter and I guess really became like friends and have kept in touch even outside of interviews and all that sort of stuff. Kevin Williams, next 4: Florida, Kiffin, Bama, Archie. Come out of that 2-2. If we don't crap the bed, 3-1. Well, I'll put it to you this way, Kevin. What I said all along was split October. Okay. We are 1-1. You got 2 games to go. I think you need to split these next 2. At Florida, home against Ole Miss, you got to get one of them. Play a great game and get one of those. If you do that, then you're 5-3 through 8. I thought they'd be 6-2 because I thought they'd beat Florida State. If they split these next 2, they're essentially, aside from Florida State, but in conference play, they've done exactly what I thought they might do. I think you're going to lose to Bama. They're just on a different level than you. And then you'll beat UAB, should beat UAB, obviously. And then that was my take all along, split Arkansas and Texas A&M. So whether it's 2 tough road games, go win one of them. So, if KJ Jefferson remains hurt, they stink. I mean, the wheels could come off at Arkansas. Texas A&M, their offense stinks. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you could win either of those games. It wouldn't surprise me. Let's see. All right, YouTube, smash that like button. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Always brought to you by Brock. You need orthopedics, go to Brock. All the subspecialties, even pediatrics. Of course, they've got satellite offices all over state, as a matter of fact. So check them out. brortho.com, brortho.com. Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Hudco is pinned in the chat, so if you would just tap that link, take 30 seconds, fill out the form on the homepage, free, no obligation roofing inspection. Or if you'd prefer to talk to somebody, you can call 364-1007, 364-1007 for Hudco Roofing. All right. Where are we? Tyler Alexander, what's up? Any new things coming with GameCoin? Always, man, plugging away. Board meeting today. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. we have a GameCoin board meeting where we go over with the developers the development of the platform and the project, which it's just in this really tedious punch list phase right now where it's like, I mean, I could show you all the Slack channel, but I'm not going, well, I can't show you the Slack channel, but it's like every time you send, they send a Figma, it's like you have to go through and touch every single button on the entire platform to make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. And if anything doesn't, then you send it back and say, all right, you need to fix this, and then you do it, and then you go do the whole thing over again. It's just a very tedious process, but just making sure that everything works. But it looks awesome coming along. Our ambassador athletes are fired up. Demario Davis, Leonard Fournette, Jacob Berry, Tari Eason, Jenny Finch, Matt Corral, so many of them. So we're on our way, man. Coming. Kerry Hughes, good morning, Dad. Good morning. Deborah Cowart, Cody Leday, Dax Jeter. This roster is so bad, besides the wide receiver room. Is there another position group that is up to LSU standard? Yeah, I mean, I think your linebackers are really good, especially if you include B.J. Ojolari as a jack. He'll be a first-round pick. I think Micah Baskerville is going to get drafted. Greg Penn's just a sophomore, but, I mean, he's obviously won a job, and he's a really good physical player. Mike Jones, was a captain, and, the guy that really wanted to be an inside backer, he just, for the second consecutive years, lost that job. So, then obviously Harold Perkins is, the freshman phenom. Defensive line, their numbers may not be great there, Dax, but remember also you lost Mason Smith. So Mekhi Wingo is actually the highest graded player for LSU from PFF against Tennessee. And so when you look at guys like Jaquelin Roy as well as Ali Gay, who's going to be drafted this year, your defensive line looks really good. The secondary was a total makeover. You have all transfers. Jark Bernard Converse transfer, Joe Fouché transfer, Greg Brooks, transfer, who's really good, though, by the way. Colby Richardson, transfer. Seven Banks, transfer. Mekhi Gardner, transfer. You know what I mean? So, and then your offensive line is really young. It's not a good unit. But whenever you when you start a different unit every game for 6 games, it's impossible to build continuity. Like literally impossible to build continuity when you're changing your lineup every game. But Campbell and Emory Jones and Garrett Dellinger are all going to be really good players. Those are Sunday players. They're just young, and they'll get better and better and better, especially the more that time they have to play together. You obviously don't have a deep, talented running back room like you typically do. Quarterback is average, really good runner, good decision maker, meaning protecting the football, but obviously not dynamic throwing the ball right now in this offense. And the special teams have been bad. So, Dax, there's good and there's bad, but it's worth mentioning where you were. You got to remember where you were. You were at freaking 39 scholarship players for the bowl game. It just, that's a real thing. That you can't just brush aside. And it's going to take time to build it back up with multiple recruiting classes. Jason Austin, with the way refs are dictating the outcome of these NFL games, it makes you wonder if they're getting paid to do so. No, it doesn't at all. It only does if you're a conspiracy theorist, and that's dumb. Mike Timmerick, so let me just follow up there. Number one, the refs didn't dictate the outcome of the game because Kansas City won despite that play. That's number one. Number two, the ref is enforcing the rule, which is taught to, if a player body weight lands on the quarterback, then it's roughing the passer. The ref behind the quarterback didn't see that Chris Jones had taken the ball. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending refs because all refs are bad at their job, but that's just a miserable rule in that situation with the landing body weight on a quarterback, and that's the Aaron Rodgers thing. So anyway, but to assume that the NFL is fixed is stupid. It's conspiratorial and stupid, so don't do that. Mike Timmerick, question should have been more on scheme that would keep him out. Yeah, but I don't think so, Timmerick, Mike. With you're talking about with Harold Perkins, because the other offense dictates that. If they're running 4 receiver sets, well, you got to have someone covering the guy. Do you want a defensive back or a linebacker covering a receiver? That's not a hard question to answer. Jerry Fontenot, I'm with you. Look, I would have loved to have seen Harold Perkins more in the middle. And I think he could have played inside backer. But then again, I'm not there every day repping it. Thomas Dale Chapman, makes total sense to keep your best defensive player out of the game because you let the offense dictate what you do. Again, but that is true. That's why you have to have a defense that's deep and talented enough to do that. So, Michelle Manuel, good morning, Matt from the Pacific Northwest. By the way, again, I'm not saying I agree, but they also know their personnel better than you and I do, and inside linebackers make calls and do a lot of other things that maybe they weren't comfortable with him doing. Brian Wynn, Thomas Bergeron, Joel Cunningham. Thinking about Kelly's inference that their best athletes play on special teams and they are what they are. Basically inferring it's not coaching, but rather lack of talent. All right, so Joel, you got to dig a little deeper there. Number one, he was talking about Besh, 2 plays in particular. Besh's muff and then the 58-yard punt return. Which, that's true. Jack Besh is your most sure-handed guy, and he muffed a kickoff, and it cost you 7 points. It's kind of like in baseball sometimes. And by the way, I yesterday completely eviscerated Brian Pulley, and he deserves it because it's not just 2 plays from Saturday. It's been different parts of special teams failing every single week. But to your point specifically about the inference that it's not coaching his players, first of all, that's wrong. I even started the show yesterday with Brian Kelly in his post-game press conference against Tennessee said 15 times, I counted them, 15, we got to coach better, it's coaching, it's on us as coaches to get a bet. He said 15 times. So there is no, he's blaming the players. That's crap. If you give an honest answer, yes, Jack Besh muffed a kickoff. That happened, okay? The other part of it too is what he was referring to on the punt. They had a starting linebacker take a bad angle, couldn't get off a block, and missed. Now, I would argue that great that you have guys that want to be in there and all that stuff, but there's plenty of dudes on that roster that have played special teams their whole lives that know how to do it. Give someone a chance. Because in high school, you're starting linebackers and playing special teams. Usually. Brian Pinton, Quentin Brakebill. So it's not as cut and dried as you're making it say, or assuming or inferring what he said. It's not as cut and dry. When you're answering this question specifically, you can't extrapolate a larger context to it. Michael Cook, what's up? Nathan DeMoss, Kenneth Westbrook, good morning from Fort Myers. All right, man. Hunter Eilers, good morning. Do you think we can handle the crowd noise at Florida? Sure. I mean, they did okay at Auburn. They got down early, but were able to rally. And Auburn's loud, and that was full. Michael Thacker, good morning, Scone, number one. Who is Mr. Toby Tomplay? What is your opinion of over-coddling of the NFL quarterbacks? Toby Tomplay is a friend of mine who is a creative musician, voice actor, etc., who does the AFR theme. So when I say Mr. Toby Tomplay and they turn up the AFR theme, he's the guy singing the AFR theme. And opinion of coddling of NFL quarterbacks. I mean, I get it because people come to watch the quarterbacks, so you got to protect the people that are the star drivers of your league. But I also think it's overboard when you are negating game-altering plays for things that should not be penalties, right? I mean, I don't know how the Chris Jones play, the sack on Tom Brady the other day, things like that, which we see pop up. I don't know how you tell a defensive player to handle that situation. Chris Jones said it after the game, he's right. You have to go to review. You have to go to review for roughing. You just have to. I mean, we have other sports have flagrant 1, flagrant 2. Like in basketball, soccer has the yellow card, the red card. Like, you've got to be able to have varying degrees of things. You have to be able to review it. You just have to. Jason Horn, Kerry Hughes, do we have a better start Saturday against Florida? Kerry, I'm going to say no, because we've seen 4 games now against Power 5 opponents, and in none of them has LSU started fast. So until they do, I'm not going to predict them to start fast. Jason, thoughts on Carolina firing the head coach and NOT her coach? Oh, another head coach. Yeah, Jason, Sean Payton's not going to take that job. It's pretty well known he wants to be coastal, Miami or LA, and he's not going to go to a situation where you have no quarterback and it's a total dumpster fire. He's not going to a rebuild. Like he would go to the Chargers because he's got Justin Herbert. Kenneth McCown, Morning Map. Where do you find Jimmy's Sunday show? 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 104.5 ESPN app. Jackie Caruso, the hate from Brian Kelly is because he left the media darling of Notre Dame. But Jackie, it kind of feels like he was that guy while he was there. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of hated when he was there. Chase Pellegrin, Brian Arsenault, Jay Bramblett punted the hell out of the ball this past Saturday. He did. He's done that quite honestly all year, with the exception of one muff. I think his muff was, or his shank was against Florida State, maybe his second part of the game. Thoughts on Auburn going after Matt Rule? I think Matt Rule's a great coach, and I would hate it if Auburn hired him. Jeff McKithen, yes, that's true. Kenneth Westbrook, Toby also did the Hudco jingle.
Hudco Roofing, Hudco Roofing. When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone and Terrio. All you need is Hudco. Hudco Roofing, Hudco Roofing. Call Hudco Roofing. 364-1007.
Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Jason Austin, game altering is dictating LOL. No, it's not. Maybe you're trying to get into a semantic argument with me, but what you were insinuating, as my understanding is that the referees were determining the outcome of games, which is stupid. That's suggesting that the NFL is fixed, which is stupid. It would be the largest conspiracy in the history of sports if an entire sports league, which has existed for 100 years, was fixing outcomes. Jason, that is fundamentally stupid. Again, because somebody got pissed off last week and got all up in his feelings. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm saying what you are suggesting is stupid. And that is very stupid to suggest that the NFL is fixing outcomes. To have 32 teams without over 1,000 players, hundreds of coaches, front office personnel, officials, and to front NFL executives, TV networks, to have everyone in on a fixed league that they're presenting as real, is just stupid. It's just a stupid. There's nothing else to say. It's a stupid thing to say. Again, not saying you're stupid. I'm saying that is a stupid thing to say. Let's see, Tristan, should we be worried about Campbell? They said dehydration, the way Kelly was describing what happened, what Campbell needed to get back on the field. Yeah, I mean, look, Tristan, they brought an ambulance to the field on Friday. He said he had an episode, is how he described it. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but yes, I mean, absolutely. So they've run a battery of testing. The kid's been in the hospital since, he was just discharged yesterday. He'd been in the hospital since Friday to Monday. You know, to be under observation and to undergo a lot of tests to make sure nothing's wrong. I mean, yeah, you should, like, let's pray that kid's okay. I mean, it's very sobering and a reminder of, you know, things that actually matter. Outside of LSU, were you surprised A&M played Bama so close? No, I mean, A&M didn't really play Bama close. Bama turned it over 4 times and missed 2 field goals. I mean, and Bryce Young didn't play. So, no, I mean, given the way that it all transpired. Do you think for the Saints to make the playoffs, they will have to win the division or sneak in wild card? Yeah, I mean, considering they're so far behind the 8 ball right now, it'd be hard for me to imagine them winning the division, given what they have ahead. So, wild card. But it looks like, man, you're gonna have two of the wild card spots from the NFC East. I mean, Philly or Dallas wins that division. The other's a wild card, and I mean, you look at the Giants right now. I mean, they're the biggest surprise team in the NFL, in my opinion. Marcus Washington, morning, Matt. LSU fans need to understand we're rebuilding. 3 to 4 years, we'll be back to dominating. Should be in that conversation. Oh, God. Jordan Coleman said, take Ali Gay off and let Harold Perkins pressure the quarterback. Ali struggled all year. Jordan, like, that is, oh, my God. You do realize they're running a version of a 3-4 defense, right? Maybe you don't understand. All right, I'll be patient. So when Ed Ogeron switched defenses to a 4-3, he wanted traditional defensive ends, 2 defensive ends with their hand in the dirt, like an old style defense where defensive ends get on the edge, hand in the dirt, and rush up the field. Matt House came in and has switched to a more of a hybrid 3-4 look, where you have what's known as like a big, which they call a big end, and then a jack linebacker. The jack is your outside backer, which is the edge rusher. That's B.J. Ojolari. The big end is an edge setter, run defender, keep everything to the inside. That's what Ali Gay's doing. By the nature of the position, you are not going to see numbers at that position, because it's not put your hand in the dirt, get up the field. It's set the edge, contain, and help and run support. That's what Ali Gay is doing this year. So if all you're looking at is the stat column at the end of the game, it's not going to look like he's doing much. I just fundamentally disagree. He's just playing a different position than he has. And you do not take Ali Gay, in that defense, you do not take Ali Gay off the field for Harold Perkins, because that illustrates your lack of understanding, because they don't play anything close to the same. Their roles are not even close to the same in this defense. Like, to take a 6'5", 270-pound edge setting and the big end off the field for a 6 foot, 220-pound linebacker that can run sideline to sideline, is just, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, none whatsoever. Boy, some of y'all, like, whew. All right, I gotta go. Anyway, it's 8:02. I gotta get Drew up and get him to school. maybe my error is I thought a lot of y'all would understand what LSU's program is right now, and that they've got a build ahead of them, and you might be more patient. Clearly, that's not the case because some of you, anyway, God bless. Have a great day. LSU Daily is live. If you care to listen, I'd appreciate it. It's a podcast. Subscribe. AFR3. We'll see you then.